Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. We've got the NBA heating up. The Western Conference Finals could come to an end tonight. We'll get a preview with SBJ here on the show. Also, the very latest in sports media. We'll join Simon Applebaum from the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised. And Joe Cervenka weighs in on the NBA and Major League Baseball as well. That and a whole lot more on this edition of the show. But we begin with one of the biggest upsets at the French Open in years. Jannik Sinner, who's the #1 player in the world, has been eliminated from the French Open, not in the semifinals, but in the 4th round, losing to the 65th ranked player in the world, Juan Manuel Cerundolo, who was 24-1 to win the match. In fact, Sinner was the favorite to win the French Open itself at -400. So naturally, with Alcaraz out, it could be Novak Djokovic's tournament to win. We'll see what happens at Roland Garros in the future, but certainly a huge upset. They're saying one of the biggest upsets ever at the French Open this morning. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell have introduced the Protect College Sports Act. I'll tell you all about it. It's introduced by these lawmakers who are attempting to impose federal rules on college athletics because the instability that's been caused by the NIL, restoring order and standardizing some rules in college sports. And we'll see if this also affects the Olympic Games as well. Meanwhile, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's getting ready to play today, people in his camp are very upset with a sports operator making fun of all of the free throw attempts that he gets and the fouls. In fact, Underdog, the sports prediction market company, has received a cease and desist about a game that makes fun of SGA drawing fouls. Underdog created a board game called Unethical Hoops, style-like operation where a buzzer would sound every time SGA was touched. SGA's legal representation said, take it down, and you're not allowed to use his name or likeness. See what happens here. Naturally, they'll play tonight, and we'll see if SGA is going to the line some more. In Major League Baseball, the losing streak is officially over for the Chicago Cubs. They beat the Pirates yesterday 10-4, so it's done. Ian Happ, 2 for 6 with a home run, but the key was he drove in 5 yesterday. Nico Horner was also 2 for 5 in the game. So the Cubs finally win. That means Craig Counsell should be happy, but basically saying a long way to go, even with the win.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, whatever you want to call it, monkey on your back, whatever. It's nice. It's gone, and we got to, it starts over tomorrow, and you got to win a game tomorrow. But we needed it. The room needed it. We all needed it, and we played a good game tonight.
Meanwhile, another losing streak coming to an end, this one for the New York Mets. They had lost 5 games in a row going into their game last night with the Reds, but they come out on top 4-2. Juan Soto hit his 6th home run in the last 7 games, 10 home runs this month. He's been awesome for the Mets despite them losing a lot. So simply put, putting them on their back despite the losing. Here's Carlos Mendoza on Soto's home run stretch.
For Soto, now 8 home runs in his last 12 games. I know you've seen these types of runs out of him, but what is even if it's a slight difference when he gets onto these types of heaters?
He's locked in. And he's one of the best, if not the best, at what he does. It doesn't matter if he's a lefty, righty. We saw it today on a breaking ball against a lefty. But they compete. He's just in the at bat, the takes, the swings. He gets a little scary when he swings and misses there, but he goes away. But man, he's just a special player doing his thing.
Meanwhile, the National League Cy Young chase keeps heating up. It appears Shohei Ohtani is not satisfied with being 3rd or 4th in the odds. He's now got the lowest earned run average among qualifiers in the National League. He pitched 6 innings. He did not give up a hit, 1 run, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. He also hit a lead-off home run in their 4-1 win against the Colorado Rockies, and the Dodgers were one of the biggest home favorites in baseball all season, -450 in their sweep against Colorado. Here's Dave Roberts on the win.
Compete. I think you saw that in that Tovar at bat where he gave up a run, and then Will had the visit, and then he came out there and just dominated Tovar in that at bat. Tonight. Against the Padres, it just, for me, the fastball command wasn't there. And, at times when it gets stressful, he makes pitches when he needs to, but then there's some kind of uncharacteristic walks in there and getting into bad counts. And but when it gets stressful, he makes pitches when he needs to. But I think tonight it was just, the fastball command he just didn't feel good with.
One of the pitchers Ohtani will have to chase down to win the Cy Young Award, and it's going to be tough, is Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies. He did not give up a run in the month of May. Let me say that again. Pitched the entire month, no runs. His scoreless streak is now 44 2/3. The Phillies beat the Padres 3-0. It's naturally a franchise record. Here's Don Mattingly on Sanchez's performance this month.
Many times after Sanchez starts, how do you describe it? But when this just keeps going, does it almost feel like it can't end?
A little bit. You just don't expect him to give up any runs. Thought he was a little rough early. I don't know if this thing's on his mind at all. Going through it, knew he had to get through 4, I think it was. Seemed to settle down a little more after that. But, yeah, he's been amazing from the standpoint of it just seems like every time out, no matter what team or who it is, just kind of keeps going.
Phillies are playing good baseball. Diamondbacks are playing the best baseball of anyone in the National League right now. They've won 10 out of their last 11, including sweeping the San Francisco Giants twice. They win 3-2 yesterday behind Michael Soroka. 6 innings pitched. He gets the win and 3 strikeouts, and things pointing all down right now on the Giants. Looks like they're going to be on the outside looking in again in the postseason. Here is Tony Vitello on the Giants being swept by Arizona 2 times in a week.
Tony, that's the second time you've been swept by the Diamondbacks in 2 weeks. Just how disappointing is it to face these guys so often in such a short amount of time and not end up with a single win?
Yeah, it's frustrating. One of the guys had good words before the game, and it was, relative to we've had 5 goes at it, and there's been a little theme to, I think, each one of those games. In specific, the 3 there, yesterday we just didn't kind of match everything up. We swung the bats fairly well on a night where, typically this place plays a little bit to favoring. If you can get 5 or 6 on the board, you're in good shape. And, determined as all hell to squeeze one out today. And I don't know that necessarily led to any mistakes or anything different. I mean, I'm fast forwarding to maybe questions, but we got on the scoreboard first, which is what we want. I think that's been a theme or a topic for us that's been crucial. And then, T-Mac did exactly what we're looking for our guys to do. I mean, he was relentless in the strike zone and gave us a good opportunity to win.
Garrett Cole's return to the Yankees has gone very well as New York beats Kansas City 7-0 to complete the sweep. Cole, 6 innings pitched, no runs, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. So it would appear at least he's close to being all the way back. Scary to think what he would be like when he is officially all the way back. Here's Cole after the game, and he said he was pleased.
What were you most pleased with?
I think really the sequencing was crisp for the most part. A few mistakes, but really I thought the game really got going with Judge's play. He set the tone. I mean, I was like kind of caught in the middle. I thought that run was going to score for sure, and I might have to back up second base. And he was dead to rights, and I thought that just kind of elevated our play a little bit. And we rolled from there.
One other quick baseball note, the White Sox beat the Twins yesterday 15-2. Munetaka Murakami ended up hitting his 20th home run of the season. That officially leads Major League Baseball, tied with Yordan Alvarez of the Astros. Also in hockey last night, it looks like the Carolina Hurricanes are headed toward the Stanley Cup final. They just need one more win Friday night in Carolina after beating the Habs last night 3-1. Coming up next, we got a game in the NBA to preview. Let's bring in SBJ right after the break. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. Don't go away. Great to have SBJ Daniel Collins in the house, as this could be it. Western Conference Finals comes to a crescendo, as they say, tonight. I don't know. We'll see. 8:40 p.m. Eastern, and let's get a preview of it with SBJ, who joins us now. So is this it? Like the Thunder, the odds makers are basically saying the Thunder are going to win, but I don't know. I mean, getting 3.5 on the Thunder is, hard to pass up. I guess I would ask you, SPJ. I suppose they were 4 in some spots earlier in the series, but it would seem to me that if you went back and looked at like 90 games, you may find, I don't know, one line of this magnitude where you're getting this much love for the Thunder. What do you think?
Yeah, we talked about this when I joined you last time about the Thunder being dogs, and it hasn't happened a lot in the postseason, and it definitely hasn't happened a lot this calendar year and this regular season as well. If I'm betting this game with my heart, as I said to you right before we got started, don't we all just want to see a Game 7? I mean, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are looking like we're not going to get a Game 7. Obviously, the Knicks got the brooms out in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we only got 4 games there. So if you're an NBA fan, your heart's going, oh, come on, San Antonio, cover the spread. But as you mentioned, it's really hard to not look at the defending champs at the plus 3.5 number and want to lay some points there as well. So I stayed away from the spread in this particular game. But just to look at the game as a whole, Craig, what we saw last game in Game 5 was Victor Wembanyama not rising to the moment. In the 2 games that the San Antonio Spurs have won in this series, Victor Wembanyama has taken 20-plus shots, has taken over the basketball game, has been dominant down low in the paint. And in the 3 losses that the Oklahoma City team has won and the Spurs have lost, Wemby has been a little bit pedestrian. Only 15 shots in those 3 games, not dominant in the paint, kind of settling for jumpers, settling for 3-point shots. So the biggest thing that I'm looking at, and I know it sounds chalky, I know it sounds to say, oh, you're just going to talk about the superstar player, but this feels like a moment for Wemby's career. We've obviously already crowned this guy one of the best players in the association. We've crowned this guy as, obviously, the voters thought he was a top 3 MVP candidate at even his young age. If you think about the guys like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, like the Kobe Bryants, like they all have those moments, even very early in their career, where it's the highlights you see of them ascending to the moment, right, and rising to that occasion and making a name for themselves early on. So to me, looking at this game, I'm looking square in the 7'5" man's eyes, even though I don't reach up to his eyeball level, and saying, what are we going to get from Wemby tonight? Are we going to get that 20 to 25 shot performance? Are we going to get that domination in the paint? He looked a little bit tired last game. I know that's been well documented and talked about, that he looked a little bit labored in stretches. This is the most he's played in the entire season. In the regular season, he barely got over the 32, 33 minute mark, and he's been playing that in every single game of the postseason because they need him out on the court. And this is a moment where you can look that man in the eyes and say, listen, big dog, we need you to be great in this game. We need you to come out aggressive from the very start. And a lot of my plays kind of lean into the fact that I think that Wemby will rise to that occasion. And again, I think the Spurs get the job done tonight and we get 7 games, but I would not be shocked whatsoever if the defending champs come in there, handle business on the road, and we don't even get a Game 7.
Yeah, it does make sense. You know what, guys? Let's start with Wemby's props here, since SBJ has a lean on this. So 27.5 points. Let's start there. That's his point prop. We've got his rebound at 12.5, assists 3.5, and his player rating at 43.5. I believe that's what that is, if I'm not mistaken. SGA. Oh, points, rebounds, assists. Okay, there you go. Points for SGA 29.5, rebounds 3.5, assists 8.5, and points, rebounds, and assists 42.5. So naturally, I mean, these lines are so tight. I mean, this is almost exactly what these guys have been doing throughout the playoffs. So set me up here. Let's start off with Wemby. So obviously you like something here, over on something tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not look at his PRA with how good he's been in this series, rebounding the basketball, especially early on. But as I kind of alluded to, talking about Wemby just in this game as a whole, I'm going straight to his point prop. I love the 27.5. I lean with the Spurs to get the job done back at home. And I just want to be a part of a moment for a superstar player to, again, rise to the occasion. And if that's going to happen tonight, Wemby's going to have to dominate. And like I mentioned before, in the 2 games where they have won, in Game 1, which was a historic basketball game, he took 25 shots in that game, Craig, even in the overtime sessions. 22 in the last game where they won, and then obviously 15, 15, and 16 shots in the 3 losses. It's just not good enough. You have to be a dominant player. I know you're still a young basketball player in your NBA career, but he has to come out. He has to dominate in the paint. And like I said, I think that's not only on Wemby, that's on all the players around him as well, and the coaching adjustments. they want to play with pace. They want to play with tempo. They want to push the Thunder, especially if you get some turnovers on this team and you're able to get some easy buckets in transition, right? But there were stretches of the last game in Game 5 where Wemby was running wind sprints, and you don't want your 7'5" center running wind sprints and not touching the basketball for 3 to 4 to 5 possessions in a row. That's how you kind of wear him down. So as a whole, I'm looking at the superstar on the Spurs side, and I'm looking at his points prop. I'm thinking that he's going to get his back to the basket, get back in the paint. Nobody on this team can truly guard him. Obviously, they have Isaiah Hartenstein, who's doing a pretty good job of at least mitigating some of his touches, but he needs to know in this position, look, man, we can't have you settling for 30-foot threes all the time. We can't have you settling for elbow jumpers. You need to get your back to the basket, get the ball in the paint, and you need to dominate like you have in the 2 wins that we have here, and to possibly get a third win and then go and have a chance to get to the NBA Finals in Game 7. So, again, if you want to take the PRA, I think that's a fine look as well. He has hit that in 3 games in this series, but to me, this is just leaning into the fact that I think Wemby's going to get out and have a big night tonight.
And by the way, to win the Western Conference MVP, Wemby is plus 350. So naturally, if they win tonight and then somehow pull off a massive upset in Game 7, this could completely shift. But you have to feel confident that the Spurs can beat OKC 2 times in a row. And that's just not something that generally has happened.
No, I mean, if you want to take the plus money price on Wemby for the value, I think that's a really good bet. It's hard to, I mean, I'm not a huge Thunder fan, so it's just really difficult to try to find the silver lining with this team. They're obviously a fantastic basketball team. And interestingly enough, the other thing that I'm looking at in this game, Craig, not really having to do with either one of these superstar players necessarily, but how is this game going to be officiated? It's been very widely talked about on lots of different avenues about how this entire series has been officiated. Obviously, the flopping thing has been discussed a lot, but I'm just really interested to see if we get a little bit more of a tighter whistle here, or if it's a little bit more, we are going to have a parade to the free throw line in this massive Game 6 that's going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. So I'm interested to see how the refs respond tonight, too.
Okay, so we'll get SBJ's best bets coming up next. Don't go away. Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. SBJ Daniel Collins back with us, going to give out some of his favorite plays tonight, and then we'll get to what the NBA Finals could potentially look like. So, SBJ, you mentioned Wemby going over his point prop, 27.5. Let's give out the rest here for those interested in the game tonight.
Yeah, I have another player prop, but I'll save that for last. I did actually take a couple stabs on some sides and some totals here. I went for the total in this game, and I took the over 218.5. I actually bet this in game 5, as we have seen a lot of these games in the series go over, and that was the singular game of this, or excuse me, game 4. That was the singular game of this series that did not go over the total. We saw it return back to over the total in the last game, and I think we're going to see something similar once again. Also, just a fun little fact. 8 of the last 9 games where the Spurs have been favored at home have gone over the total. So I think that we're going to see some points tonight. I think both of the superstar players, as I alluded to with Wemby, and I do think SGA is going to score tonight as well. Regardless of if Jalen Williams plays in this game or not, I think there's going to be lots of points. I do think that there's going to be a lot of free throws taken as well, as I talked about a little bit with the referees having something to say tonight as well, and that leads to a lot more points too. So I think we're going to see over 220 plus. I took the 218.5 on the total line. Another one that's a little bit more interesting, I haven't really dabbled too much in some quarter props in this series specifically, but I found a really interesting trend that I wanted to get involved with here, and I got a good price. Kind of alludes to what I was talking about earlier with the Spurs back against the wall, having to get the job done at home. You can get the Spurs first quarter -1. Now, you can take the money line if you would want for a little bit of juice at -135, but I went for the -1. This is hitting every single home game for the Spurs in the playoffs except one game against the Minnesota Wolves. So I do not think that there's an opportunity where the Spurs are not going to come out rip roaring ready to go in this game. That building's going to be rocking tonight. There's going to be a lot of energy out there. And the Oklahoma City Thunder have struggled a little bit in the first quarter in this series specifically. So I think the Spurs are going to come out, punch them in the mouth. I really want to take the Spurs on the -3.5, like I said to you earlier, but I don't want to get involved there just because it's really hard to fade the champ. So I thought this was a good way for me to have some stake in the Spurs starting hot. Hopefully they continue that stretch through the rest of the game. But I think you're getting a good price at the -1. Again, if you want to take the money line for them to win the first quarter, that's a fine bet as well for a little bit of juice. But I think the Spurs start out hot here. And then on the prop side, like I said earlier, with Victor Wembanyama, his 27.5 points. On the other side, the guy who's guarding him, I said it a little bit earlier, the best on-ball defender that the Thunder have against Wemby is the other 7-footer, Isaiah Hartenstein. Chet doesn't really seem like that he wants to guard, or they're not going to deploy Chet to guard Wemby for long stretches of this game. Isaiah Hartenstein is out there to be the main on-ball defender against Wemby, and he's actually been scoring the basketball really well as well. He's had really good games scoring, great rebounding games as well. He had 15 rebounds in the last game, and a good facilitator too. I like the way that they use him as a kind of screener on top, especially with McCain in the lineup, which I would assume that Jared McCain will probably get the start again if Jalen Williams is not going to play tonight. McCain and Isaiah Hartenstein do this really fun action on the top of the key where sometimes Isaiah Hartenstein will even throw the ball between his legs when he gets a little pick and pop there from McCain. So look for his rebounds PRA line to look really tasty at that 18.5 line, something that's hitting every game but one game in this particular series as well. So I like a couple of props on both sides. I like the total here, and I do like this first quarter line. There's a couple other things that I like as well, but I didn't want to go super crazy on the only NBA game we have tonight and just hoping and praying that we possibly get a game 7.
Okay, I think I like that. Now let's look at the finals here, and OKC is -150, followed by the Knicks at +220 and the Spurs at +550. A lot of hypotheticals out there, guys, so let's flip over to that. The Thunder playing the Knicks are -265, and the Spurs playing the Knicks, the Spurs are -225, the Knicks +165. So the odds makers are telling us New York stands a better chance against the Spurs and potentially a chance to even win that series, but the odds makers are telling us maybe not as much against the Thunder. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, 100%. We saw the Knicks actually have the Spurs number in the regular season. They had a winning record against this team. They beat them in the NBA Cup final game as well. So I think that they do match up a little bit better. My biggest question with the Knicks, obviously we've seen them play historically incredible basketball for the last month and a half. Like, I can rattle off all the stats. It's been well documented how incredible this team has been playing. But they have had opportunities as well to show that the rest versus rest conversation doesn't matter, as they brought the broom out a couple of times in their last 2 series. But this is the NBA Finals. This is the first time this team has been there in 27 years. Are they going to be a little bit tight? Are they going to be a little bit, does the momentum die off a little bit in comparison to what we've seen over the last month? So I'm fascinated to see which matchup obviously they're going to have. They do match up a bit better with the Spurs, but I do think they would give OKC some problems as well. We're in store for a fantastic NBA Finals, whichever way you chop it up, Craig. But like I said, hopefully we wait a little bit longer to find out and we get a Game 7 tonight.
Yeah, I really like the idea of this happening, and hopefully it will, because we need more NBA before next week. Thanks again, SBJ. Appreciate it.
To endure months of manufactured rumors about will he or won't he retire LeBron James. They are probably, Donnie, working on the Decision 2.0 for Amazon Prime as we speak. Is Jim Gray still around? But here is the beauty of the predictive markets. They make insufferable stories about insufferable people highly profitable.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Great job, clearly, right? They're 16-4 since he took over, but we have to remember when Rob Thompson took over for the Phillies and they went 65-46 back in 2022, he finished 5th in NL Manager of the Year that year. So could Mattingly win it? Of course, but he doesn't really have history on his side. I'm still on Don Kelly 15-1 to win Manager of the Year.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75 plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Joe Cervenka is back with us here on NewsWire to take a look at the NBA and also some Major League Baseball games. It's a light schedule on this Thursday, but we've got some fun previews coming up. And Joe, great to have you back here, of course, on NewsWire. You heard SBJ talk, and I think that we're probably all aligned here that we'd love to see a Game 7 in the NBA. I mean, we're not going to get it, it looks like, in the East or the West of hockey. And you know, certainly if the Thunder win tonight, that ends the series as well. But, I mean, look, we should be optimistic here that the Spurs tend to have had the Thunder's number at times. And so, you know, certainly OKC could lose this game by a point or two and still cover. But what do you make of this matchup tonight? It does feel like a huge moment for the Spurs and their franchise.
Yeah, Game 7s are all well and good, but I am not rooting for a Game 7 in this one because I'm on the Thunder in this one. I think OKC showed their championship caliber quality as a team in Game 5. They showed that they could get to Wemby. They made him very uncomfortable, holding up to just 20 points, 4 of 15 shooting, which is really not like him, obviously being a lot more effective in the paint. But that to me is the key. They were really able to make him uncomfortable in the paint. He only had 6 rebounds, and they forced him to take 5 3-point attempts. So I think that's a huge factor if they can kind of get to Wemby, because even though the Spurs have had some guys that can show up and put some points in the basket and everything else, they can't do it without Wemby, and there's not enough to rely on outside of him. So I think if Oklahoma City can again show they can sort of make him uncomfortable, throw him some double teams, and get him outside of the paint, I think that's going to be a major key for them to get it done today, and I like them to cover the 3.5 points, and I think they're going to win outright. Actually,
How about any plays for you tonight, specifically beyond the Thunder? Any player props for you as well?
I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's going to have a huge usage night tonight because the Thunder are already shorthanded in the backcourt. Like, they're not going to have AJ Mitchell. He's going to be out again. Jalen Williams is still dealing with that hamstring issue. So even if he does suit up, he's not going to be as effective. He has missed a lot of time over these past few weeks in the postseason and even before that. So I like Shai to get going offensively early. He's the second leading scorer in these playoffs, 28.1 points per game. I think he's going to be the leading scorer in these playoffs after tonight. He's coming off that 32-point game in Game 5 where he just went like ridiculously aggressive against that San Antonio defense, 16-17 from the line. So that's something you can always rely on. A player like SGA, if his shot's not falling, if he's not really feeling the inside, he can get to the line anytime he really wants to. He showed that all season where he's averaging 9 free throw attempts per game. So I think he's going to be a guy that really gets it done offensively for them tonight, as always. But especially because they're shorthanded in the backcourt. And I think that's also going to help him in the facilitator realm, where I think they're going to have to lean on him a little bit to really kind of pass the ball around, get the ball moving with, like I said, with Mitchell and Williams potentially out. Don't forget, this guy is he can turn on that assist magnet realm anytime he wants. 8.2 assists per games in these playoffs. He's atop anyone that hasn't been eliminated in the first round. And he's putting up 9.4 helpers per game against San Antonio in these 5 playoff games. So I think his usage is going to be through the roof. He's going to be scoring the basketball, and he's going to be facilitating, passing the ball. So I like those 2 props a lot tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Let's take a look at the odds to win the NBA title, Joe. Are you with the crowd here and thinking the Knicks have a good shot at the title? They're plus 220. OKC minus 150. You've made it clear you like the Thunder. So do you like the Thunder against the Knicks?
I actually do like the Knicks. We sort of went on the New York earlier on in our prediction markets market project that you can see on the SportsGrid.com website when the Boston Celtics got eliminated. I did like Boston going in, but they didn't look great against Philly, obviously. And New York has looked good against everyone they've played. I think they're one of these teams that can match OKC offensively and defensively. They're putting up a ton of points, scoring on everyone they've faced, and they've shown that they can stop pretty much anyone as well. They have a great starting 5. I think even giving that edge to New York over Oklahoma City, the starters anyways. The depth may be an issue a little bit, especially if these injuries don't heal up in time. But I think the Knicks have a great chance in this final. I mean, Oklahoma's the favorite for a reason, but I think New York has a hell of a chance. And, they've shown that they've been really the best team in these playoffs out of the East, at least.
Yeah, would agree. All right, let's pivot over, Joe, to some baseball here, where the Braves will wrap up their series with the Boston Red Sox today. Chris Sale, who's been absolutely fantastic. Later this afternoon, we'll face off with Peyton Tolley. The Braves are light favorites, minus 136. I see here on the money line, so you can get a little bit of juice here on Boston. They're not playing great baseball, as we know. Plus 116 and the total of 6.5 because both pitchers are pretty good. Do you have a lean on this one here? Is it simply put Braves better than Red Sox, or could you make a case for Boston today?
Braves better than Red Sox, and I think this is Sale Day back in Fenway. Chris Sale, like you said, has been unbelievable this season, just turning back the clock to well before his injury days, his early days. He's been as dominant as any pitcher in the National League and really in baseball. So you heard it here first. He's my pick for the NL Cy Young. You can get him at a pretty good price tag, still at plus 850. So I really like that play for a futures bet. But before we get there, I think he's gonna have a game today back in Fenway. He's already got a 7-3 record, a 1.89 ERA on the season, and the guy's just been unbelievable. Even better lately. He's allowed no more than 2 runs. He's allowed more than 2 runs just one start this season, and he's given up 6 over his past 7 outings. So, he's dialed in. I don't see how Boston's not great offense is really going to be able to deal with him. And to add to that, Sale has one of the best offenses behind him to give him run support. Braves are averaging 5.2 runs per game. That's the 3rd best mark in baseball. So, even if he's not at his best, which I think he will be, he's got Atlanta, a great offense behind him. Like I said, the Red Sox offense has not been good. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in baseball, less than 4 runs a game, 3.8 per game. So, Sale has faced Boston a few times, 3-1, 2.53 ERA over his career 5 starts. So I think he improves on that. In addition to the money line, I kind of like the look of the run line at plus 132. I think there's very much an easy world that Atlanta can win by 2 in this one. I think Sale keeps Boston basically off the board. And I like the Red Sox under 2.5 at also at plus money. So those are 2 other plays in this game I think is worth looking at.
All right, Joe, let's move over to the National League here because I do want to ask you about Paul Skeens pitching against the Cubs today. The Cubs broke their 10-game losing streak, and so their reward for that is facing Skeens tonight. Skeens is baseball's best pitcher at night and just very pedestrian at home during the day. It's very strange here, but this is a night game that I see. And as you can see, Pittsburgh is a massive favorite, so that does add up. I see a total of 7.5 here as well. Do you have any opinion on this Cubs-Pirates showdown?
Yeah, I guess Skeens is a nighthawk, like some of us are, especially in this sports business. But yeah, I think he's going to get right in this start. He actually has been very pedestrian in his last 2 starts. He's allowed 9 runs in losses to the Blue Jays and Phillies. So I think this is a nice get right for a spot for him. Back at night, like you said, he's one of those pitchers that for whatever reason is a much better pitcher at night. Before his last 2 starts, he went through a stretch where he put up goose eggs in 4 of his 5 starts before the last 2. So I think he gets more of that going in this one. The Cubs offense, good in theory, scoring 4.7 a game, but some of their advanced metrics are pointing to regression. Their 241 expected batting average and 360 xwOBA is very mediocre. Slugging percentage of X-slugging percentage of 400 isn't great. And they haven't been great at scoring runs away from home. So I like Skeens to look good today against the Cubs. I like the Cubs under, and a Pittsburgh win on the run line is another good play to go tonight.
As Joe mentioned, Blue Jays team total, Cubs team total under, Rangers -1.5. Thanks again, Joe, for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Craig. Great time. Enjoy the baseball and NBA tonight.
Thank you. Simon Applebaum up next.
The UIM Formula One World Championship Series. We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side.
And he's lost control of the book.
Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round 1, the Regione Sardegna Grand Prix of Italy, May 29th to 31st.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
Always fun to catch up. Our weekly visit with Simon Applebaum from the podcast Tomorrow will be televised. Latest on ratings in the NBA and some auto racing as well. Simon, great to have you back here on the show. And let's start off with the NBA Conference Finals here. Certainly it shouldn't be a surprise that when you get such drama with a team like New York participating, and on the other side, we've had some really competitive games between the Thunder and Spurs, I'm guessing that this is going to be a pretty good outcome for the National Basketball Association.
Absolutely, Craig. And don't be surprised if tonight's game could be upwards of 10 million people watching on NBC and or Peacock. So far, in terms of the conference finals, there's only been a game one result for viewership. 7.1 million for the game on ESPN, Knicks and Cavaliers, and 9.2 million and about 12 million down the stretch for the first game of the San Antonio-Oklahoma City series. I got to say, I think both ESPN, ABC, and NBC and Peacock are happy with how the conference finals are playing. And if you're Adam Silver, the head of the NBA and his gang, you are very giddy right now because your NBA finals may be the most viewed in a very long time. Here's why. If you look at your broadcast history, the most popular in terms of viewership NBA finals usually have either a New York team, a Chicago team, and or a Los Angeles team. And they got the Knicks, and they are red hot. This is going to be a very, I think, no matter what, a very highly contested series. You're going to see whether it's Oklahoma City or San Antonio, neither team is going to choke the way the Cavaliers did in that first game of the conference finals, where they lead by 22 points, and the Knicks came back to win it all in double overtime. This is going to be an amazing, amazing championship series. So I think ABC is going to be very happy with the outcome. I see every game at least 10 million viewers and up. One other thing, I had a tomorrow televised interview on Tuesday with Joaquin Duro and Miguel Lorenzo, the key people from Telemundo Sports. They're very happy with doing Sunday Night Basketball for the first time this year on their network. They are doing very well, by the way, with Sunday Night Baseball as well the first couple of weeks. And even though they didn't carry the conference finals this time around, I think you will see them carry the playoffs. If they get the conference finals, they'll do it next year because of the way that NBC and Peacock have done in English.
All right. Simon also giving away free tickets to the Knicks at no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He's not doing that. Folks, do not hit up Simon. He does not have tickets for you. I just wanted to see if Simon was paying attention. No. Okay, there you go. Okay, the Indy 500. You know, it's a shame, Simon, because the last 15, 20 years, this race really has fallen on the back burner and kind of under the radar a little bit, and it really shouldn't because it was such an amazing finish last weekend. What did you make of the finish here, and did people even tune in? I mean, consistently speaking, I know ratings have gone down in this race through the years in the Indy 500.
Yes, they have. I still remember the days when the Indy 500 was part of ABC's Wide World of Sports, and Jim McKay was calling it with Sam Posey, and you had like double-digit viewership all the time. Well, I'm happy to say that we just got the numbers in the last hour, and they're very good. It turns out that overall, 6.6 million people watched Fox coverage over Memorial Day weekend of the Indy 500, and when the race had that incredible finish, maybe the best finish of any auto race in like the last 15, 20 years, 8.3 million people were watching the final quarter hour. That was about 4 to 4:15. When that incredible finish happened. So Fox, I'm sure, is very happy with the numbers. And you're right. Auto racing on television is not as popular as it used to be, especially IndyCar racing. However, as I said, this was the second most watched Indy 500 since 2012. And even though that this particular race was down from last year, here's the good news. IndyCar racing as a whole is up from last year. And I think one of the reasons why is because Fox has really put pedal to the metal in terms of marketing and promoting the coverage. You do see spots on Saturday and Sunday afternoons on Fox programming and on Fox stations. So I think that's been a big difference. And hopefully, because of the way the Indy 500 went, the rest of the IndyCar schedule will do very well for Fox.
Okay, fair enough. Now, the Emmy Awards have come out, and Fox also with a very big hit, including some of their broadcasters getting accolades as well. Simon, tell us about the Emmy Awards.
Well, the Sports Emmys came out on Tuesday night, and ESPN was number one in terms of total. Fox was number two. Let's give you some of the big ones. Fox's coverage of the World Series last year won for live sports special, as well as the All-Star Game. And the series was Sunday Night Football. Of course, you knew that's going to happen. Sunday Night Football is like a given on NBC. In terms of sports documentaries, Netflix won a series for quarterback, and Prime Video won, surprisingly, for cocaine quarterback. In terms of other Fox events, Greg Olson won for best analyst, well-deserved. His work with Joe Davis, terrific. Joe Davis won last year, by the way, for play-by-play. Alex Rodriguez won for his commentary on Fox and Fox Sports 1. Ernie Johnson won for Inside the NBA on TNT and CBS, also his work on March Madness. NFL Live, daily studio show, weekly studio show, college football live, college football game day. So it sweep those categories. Mike Tirico won play-by-play this year. He was not at the event here in New York. Why? Because of the game on Tuesday night. However, Reggie Miller and Jamal Crawford gave him the kudos on camera during the game, and he was very humble all about it. He said, we just talked. The rest of the crew does very, very well. Also, Tracy Wolfson won for Sideline. Katie George of ESPN won for Best Emerging Talent. Noah Eagle won that last year. And Miguel Gurwitz, the Telemundo Spanish language talent, once again had a Spanish language Emmy Award. I do think, by the way, unfortunately, Charlie Neal did not get a Lifetime Achievement Award. I hope that gets rectified next year. I think next year, by the way, with the Sports Emmys, you're going to see a dogfight between the World Cup coverage on Fox and Telemundo. We'll have more to say about that next week. And also the Winter Olympic coverage on NBC and Peacock. Also, I think it'll be interesting if they have a sports scripted award. Remember last week we talked about all the new scripted sports shows that are coming up because of what's been happening this year with shows like Finding Her Edge and Heated Rivalry and Ted Lasso. I think you may see a sports scripted award added on, and that'd be good because this year, incidentally, the Sports Emmys were carried on YouTube, and maybe this will get them on either a cable broadcast or a mega content network if they do that.
Simon, Mike Tirico wins the Sports Emmy Award for Most Outstanding Personality. Let's end there.
Absolutely. He deserved it. And I think he could be up next year, by the way, for his work on the Winter Olympics, on basketball, so forth. And I also think Kenny Albert could be a nominee for play-by-play for his coverage of the men's and women's hockey on the Olympics. I think, again, it's going to be a dogfight with World Cup on Fox and Telemundo versus the Winter Olympic Games on NBC. So I think it'll be quite good. I hope that the Sports Emmys, by the way, do get a better shot in terms of being televised. They're always good. They're always a lot of fun. And hopefully that will happen.
Simon, as always, great catching up with you. We'll talk again soon.
You got it, Craig. Take care and enjoy the game tonight.
All right, will do. Coming up, a suspension in minor league baseball that has nothing to do with a player, but with a dog. I'll tell you about it next.
The UIM Formula One World Championship Series. We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side.
And he's lost control of the book.
Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round one. The Regione Sardegna Grand Prix of Italy, May 29th to 31st.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Mike Vrabel certainly has been in the public eye this offseason for a lot of reasons that I'm sure that you're well aware of. Very specifically, though, it seems like some of his personal counseling appears to be over with and definitely back at Patriots OTAs. And he met with the media yesterday to talk about what that could potentially mean for the Patriots' future. Take a listen.
I mean, I can only tell you I'm going to be there today, but I can't tell you anything other than I'm going to be out there today in full force. And I mean that because, who knows what's going to come up. I'm not even, anything could happen. And so I'm going to focus on today. But in the excitement that we've had and that we've built so far, and the conditioning that we've tried to incorporate into our practices and the weightlifting and all the things that are critical.
Yeah, this story is really, one of those that I don't know if it's never necessarily going to go away as we head toward the NFL season. But for the very least, hopefully Vrabel gets his personal life intact, because naturally everything that was reported by the New York Post and TMZ this offseason with him and a reporter, it was kind of crazy. All right, let's get back to reality here, and we'll talk about what happened on the field at a Tulsa Drillers game. Also, the NBA could be taking on some AI as well. It's time now for some last licks. All right, let's start off with the Tulsa Drillers, AA affiliate of the Dodgers. They had a dog, by the way, that was a bat dog that used to get the bats and bring them back to the dugout. Unfortunately, their former first-round pick for the LA Dodgers, Kendall George, was running back to the dugout after an out and got a little scared, it looked like, at the dog. It was really strange. He sort of jumped up in the way, and he injured his patella tendon in his knee and now could potentially miss the rest of the season. And because of that, they have now suspended the dog. And so no longer dogs on the field here at the Tulsa Drillers. It's always like a minor league kind of thing where they like to have some fun. But naturally, I would say kind of sad. I know a lot of people are taking shots at this poor player too, Kendall George, for saying that he shouldn't have jumped out of the way of the dog. I don't think there's any winners in this one. But this will go on in other places. But for now, the Dodgers probably doing the right thing here. This was really interesting from the Pat McAfee show. I want to get into this. Adam Silver said that the NBA is getting ready to move to an automated replay system. He told the world on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, saying, quote, "We're going to move to a system like Hawkeye in Major League Baseball. Objective calls will be done by AI's automated system with cameras lined around the court, and you won't have to deal with challenges on those calls." Really interesting here, because more technology is just better for the game itself. And as you can see with the NFL, with the NBA, with Major League Baseball as well, you're starting to see more artificial intelligence and technology just simply take away the human element in the sport. Now, the good news is, and really the best news is that all of the calls are going to get right. Like, I think you can see the ABS has been a very huge success for Major League Baseball this season. There's no doubt about that. The question with the NBA is that, again, how will the referees feel knowing that some of these calls are going to be taken out of their control? And the play stoppages also is something that they'll have to work out, because the NBA, known for its fast pace, games could be slowed down, but you want to get the calls right, so this does certainly make sense. The Tampa Bay Rays yesterday called up a pitcher by the name of John Heasley. Now, for me, you may say, well, I know who he is. Honestly, had no idea, but here's what I know. Tampa Bay Times yesterday reported that Heasley, when he takes the mound, sometimes throws up, and told the coaching staff and the manager, Kevin Cash, if you see me take the mound on Wednesday and I throw up, don't worry, I'm fine. He said it's a combination of adrenaline, nerves, and a weak stomach. It was his Rays debut and the first time that he played and pitched in a major league game since 2024, and naturally he did the deed. He did throw up on the field yesterday, I'm sorry to say, and also threw up in terms of his performance too, as the Rays got beat down by the Orioles. This was a shocking result this week. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 runs, and 2 strikeouts. So the barf did not lead to getting outs yesterday for Heasley. All right, that will do it for our show today. Lots of fun, of course, here, as we always do at the end of the show. Thanks again to our guests here on the program, including Simon Applebaum, who does not have free Knicks tickets, folks. He does not have tickets to the game, so don't ask him. Thanks to Joe Cervenka. Thanks to SPJ Daniel Collins as well. Thanks again to Tommy and Pat and to Frank and to Chris as well. I'm Craig Mish. I will be back with you on tomorrow's edition of NewsWire, so make sure you tune in at 12 o'clock Eastern. We'll see if we're headed to the NBA Finals or maybe even a Game 7. And with hockey wrapping up as well, we'll put a bow on the week on the Friday edition of the show. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow.
The UIM Formula One World Championship Series. We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side.
And he's lost control of the book.
Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round one, the Regione Sardegna Grand Prix of Italy, May 29th to 31st.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on Sport.